Today I'm going to take my drill press stand and make it mobile. I prefer everything in my shop to be mobile. It's just better that way for me. I like to be able to move stuff around when I need to. I usually keep this thing tucked away in the corner of the shop over here, and when I use it to drill certain things, I have to pull it off the wall, and I was like, man, it'd be easier if I just put wheels on it. And then if I had wheels on it, I can move it to the other side of the shop over there if I wanted to use it or whatnot. I'm also going to try to put some kind of storage or something on the bottom of it there. I thought about building some drawers and maybe put some bins in it, but I think I'm just going to put one bin on it, big enough to hold like my tubing notcher and a couple little vices I use on the drill press when I use it. Maybe just some random little tools or something, just kind of a catch-all. For this project, I have a partial sheet of 3/4 plywood that I've dug out of a dumpster somewhere. I've got these old casters here that actually come off of this Craftsman toolbox right here. This handle was on a crate that I dug out of the dumpster. Basically, the only thing I had to buy was these hinges right here. And then I had some 3/8 bolts long enough to go through the drill press to the plywood. The first thing I'm going to do is measure this base of this drill press so I can cut a piece of plywood to mount on the bottom of it, and then I can mount my wheels on that. I think when I measure this, I'm going to go ahead and make it this width and this width will probably be like 1.5 inches longer than it needs to be. That way I can make my bin that I'm going to put on here where I could take it off if I ever need to take it off. What I'm going to do is lay this thing down on its side so we can measure the base of it. Very top heavy. So it looks like it's 20.5 there. And the width is 11 inches wide. And I cut it 1.5 inches wider and 1.5 inches longer, like I said. Then I took my square and I just marked 3/4 inch on each side, and I've centered it up in there. Then I just took basically a nail set tool, stuck it through the hole, and just tapped it down. That's going to center punch all my holes, and I'll drill those for that 3/8 bolt. We'll stick those 3/8 bolts through there, and that will bolt the drill press to the plywood. And then we can put the wheels on the bottom of this, and it'll actually be mobile. I mean, you could stop right there and just have a mobile drill press. I just want to have a little bit of a cabinet or something on it. So I'm gonna get those holes drilled in the plywood and probably go ahead and we'll put the wheels on there. Then we'll get this thing set back on top of it and get it bolted down. All right, I got the hose measured to mount it to the drill press. I just used a 7/16 bit to drill that out, so I'm using a 3/8 bolt. It gives me a little bit of play. So I'm gonna put these wheels, I marked it front. I'm gonna put the ones that turn on the front, the ones that don't turn on the back, the fixed wheels. And I'm just gonna use these little screws that I used on my toolbox when I mounted the top, that wood top to my toolbox. I got just enough of these left over to screw these down, so I'm just gonna use them. There's a self-tapper 1/4 inch head screw there. Nothing fancy. They're actually roofing screws, but hey, they'll work on this, I figure. But I'm gonna get all these screwed on, and we'll figure out how we're gonna get that drill press set on top of here. Well, now that we know it rolls, I've got to try to get this heavy thing on top of it. And I noticed something while I was putting the wheels on is only one of them lock. Oh God. So it would be great if the two on the front locked, but one of them locks. I guess one's better than none. I got it sitting on there squared up. My plan now is just to drop that bolt in there and put I got a nylock nut to go on the bottom of it. Now we just need to tighten them up. Make sure that wheel clears. And it doesn't. So on the front, I'm gonna have to cut the bolts off a little bit. So I'll just mark out with the Sharpie, back it out of there, and I'll just cut both of these that length. So what I ended up doing on the front is I've had to flip it upside down because even the nut is taller than the bolt head because it's a nylock nut. And the caster, when it would spin, it would hit it and it was keeping it from turning all the way around 360. So I'll flip these upside down, and then I'll just take my cutoff wheel, my grinder, and just cut that off flush. Should be good. All right, I got all the bolts on there, and the casters aren't hitting the bolts. They got plenty of room to spin around freely. It's, I don't know, it's not quite as stable as I'd like, but I think it'll be fine. All right, now I want to build some kind of a little compartment or cabinet or something here. So my theory is to go up to right here. That way I can run this all the way down as low as it'll go. This part will ever go and not hit it. So if I just go to the top of this, I'm good. And that gives me a cabinet that's about 14 inches tall or so. Once I put the plywood here, it'd be about 12 inches tall on the inside of it, which that should be good enough. It's gonna be like a 12 by 12 box basically. So I think that'll give me enough room to store what little things I want to store in there. Like, it may look like trash when I'm done, but it'll be my trash. The first piece I'm going to measure will just be the piece that's on the bottom of my little bin that I'm building. So I measured from the start of this shaft to the front of this is like 11 3/4, and then the width of it is going to be 11 inches this way. So the inside of my box will be, it's actually going to be pretty small. It'll probably be about a 10 by 10 box. Well, it'll be 11 this way, but it'll only be like 10 inches this way by the time I put a board back here on top of it. So 10 by 11. So it's gonna be less than a square foot, but it'll be enough to hold the handful of things I want to hold in there. So I'm gonna cut this 11 3/4 by 11, and we'll start with that. All right, that board's gonna go like that. Then I measured up to here, and it looks like it's about 16 inches. So I'll cut this thing 16 inches high on each side, and then we'll go 21 1/4 because I'll stop at this line, and I'll put a full piece on the front so you don't see the plywood edges. So 16 by 21 1/4, I'm gonna cut 2 of those, and I'll put those on the side. Then we'll figure out what our next piece is gonna be. This is what I got so far. I'm not quite sure I like it or not, but I'm going to continue on, and maybe I'll change my mind by the time I'm done. If not, I'll be cutting up some more plywood over there. So now I just need to cut this piece, which is going to be 12 1/2 by 16, and that'll be the face of this, and then we'll have to cut the piece inside here, and that should build my box. Got this piece cut. It's gonna go like that. Starting to look kind of square. So I'm gonna continue on even though I don't really like the way it looks. The next piece I'll cut is the back piece right here, and it's gonna be 13 1/8 high and 11 inches wide. All right, got that piece slid in there. Put that on there. So the inside of my storage is going to be 11 by 11 3/4 by 13 1/4 tall. So it's gonna be pretty close to a square foot there. So I think it'll hold all I need to hold in there. Like I said, I'm still not in love with the way it looks. I'm gonna go ahead and take and put some pencil marks on this down here and drill some pocket holes, and then we'll go ahead and screw this bottom part to the sides, screw this back piece to the sides, probably go ahead and screw the front on, probably put some pocket holes on the inside of here. We'll put all that together and we'll set it on there and see what it looks like. But I got it put together and screwed down on there. You can see the box, it's a pretty decent sized box. I mean, it's probably about as much room as a 5-gallon bucket. I've got it, what I did was I just put 3 screws on each side and then 2 in the front. And if I ever need to take this off, I can just take those 3 screws out and 2 in the front. That would be 8 screws. And I can just pull that whole thing off the top of there, because as you see, the cabinet's got a bottom on it. It's not screwed down to anything. Just those 8 screws are the only thing that's holding it to the bottom base. I don't know that I like the back. I may take and cut that off at an angle or something to make it look a little different. But I'm gonna go with it for now and we'll see how it goes. All I've got left to do really is the lid. It's gonna be like 12.5 inches wide and like 13 1/4 inches deep. I'm gonna get that cut, then I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna stick it on there. Got the lid cut. You know, I thought about doing this different ways. I honestly thought about kicking this thing up on an angle when I made it and everything, so the shavings would just roll off. And I went back and forth. I was gonna make the lid open up like this, and that would be great for getting in there, but that's just gonna take like any shavings or anything that's on here and just throw them down this hole I got back here. So I think what I'm gonna do, since I'm right-handed, is I'm gonna put the handle right here and make it hinge like this, and I'll just put that hinge where this thing it'll fold all the way open like that. But when I get a bunch of shavings and debris up here, I can just open it up and dump them off to that side. I think that's what's gonna work the best for me right now. There it is. It's nothing special. It sure ain't pretty, but it works. Like I said, if I'm drilling stuff and I get a lot of shavings on here, I can just lift that up, dump that stuff off there. I got plenty of storage there for what I need. I got her finished up, put a little paint on it. I've got enough room inside there for a couple little vices, my notcher. There's a little deal that come with the drill press, little fence thing. I can fit everything I need to fit in there, and I got room for more, so it worked out for what I needed it for. Let me put this camera down. I'll show you that you can take how I take the top off of it. When you want to take it off, you just take these 3 screws off each side and the 2 off the front, which is, there's 8 screws. It's not too crazy, hard to do. Then you just grab it and you pull it off. Now you can use the drill press for its full, I guess it's full capabilities with that off of there. I didn't paint the bottom board, well, because I'm lazy, I guess. I don't think it needs to be painted. You can't see it as much. And then when you're done, you just put it back on there, put your couple screws in it, and it's good to go. The way I built this, I don't think you need the screws in it to hold it on there. I mean, it fits pretty snug. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it wasn't a very exciting build, and it's ugly, but it's functional, and that's all that really matters to me. I just wanted this drill press on wheels, and I come up with this idea, and I thought I would share it with everybody. Anyways, thanks for watching.